All right, we've now been joined by Joey Logano, who was locked in before today's race, but now is officially headed to Phoenix next weekend in an attempt to win your second title. Joey, just tell us a little bit about this race, the dynamic of Martinsville. It feels like the pressure definitely heats up in that final stage. What that's like from your vantage point, and then, you know, the looking ahead to next week with your team.
Yeah, it's an interesting position to be in when you're already locked in, but you're in the mix of it out there, and you have the transfer spot is essentially it's you. At that moment when Denny was behind me, and I'm like, oh man, everyone hates it if I'm in the way or if I let him go. So it's kind of just one of those positions to be in there, and just try to manage it the best I could. And overall, Martinsville's what you expected there at the end, except the last corner. I didn't expect that piece. I'm not sure anybody did, but it was pretty crazy. And overall, we accomplished in the 22 team today what we set out to do. We wanted to keep momentum. We wanted to make sure our pit stops were really good, and they were on fire today. We didn't want to make any enemies, and wanted to keep my crew chief and ready, my team together for next week. And so all missions were accomplished, even with some adversity with the fire today. So all worked out.
All right, we're going to go to questions. We're going to start with Al, and then we're going to go up to the press box. Go ahead, Al.
I'm sorry, Al Pearson Motor Week. Have you seen a replay of Ross Chastain's last lap?
Yeah, I did.
I mean, is that the craziest thing you've ever seen?
We all did it as kids.
Would you ever try that?
Yeah, we all did it in the video game. That's how you made speed in the video game. That's what you did. It's something we all thought about at one point. At least I thought about it a lot, but never really had the need to do it. But I've also kind of thought of how many races I could have won here by doing that. As spectacular as it was, and as much as it worked, the problem is now the box is open. Right now, every Xfinity race, every truck race, every cup race, no matter the track, this wall riding is going to be a play. That's not good. That's not good. I mean, it was awesome. It was cool. I mean, it happened for the first time. There's no rule against it. There needs to be a rule against this one because it's – I don't know if it's you want the whole field riding a wall coming to the checker flag. I don't know if it's, for one, the safest thing for the driver or the fans, right? When you got a car right up against the wall hauling the mail like that, right? What if that catch fence, the gate wasn't closed all the way, or what if it bent and it caught his car? Like, yeah, that's a big risk that Ross is willing to take, and God bless him. I mean, that's awesome, but I don't think we need to do that every week.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we're going to continue with questions. We're going to go up to the press box and then back down to Dustin. Go ahead, press box.
Absolutely. That's what I'm saying. We probably need to do something about it before next week. Like I said, the box is open now, and so it's going to continue to happen until we do something about it. So, Phoenix presents the opportunity for it too. A little different entry point and all that, but when you're going for a championship, you're probably going to do it. And what are you going to do? You're the leader going to the last corner. You're going to put it up against the wall? Like, jeez, like it's. Like I said, it's cool. It happened once. We don't need to make this a thing.
All right.
Also, what do you think of the makeup of the four championship contenders and the four teams that you've got? Trackhouse being the new team of the bunch.
I feel great about our chances. Honestly, I don't really care who else is in. It's about the 22 team winning a second title. That's what it's about. So we just got to do our job and stay focused on us. And like I said, today we do what we need to do to be prepared. We've had 3 weeks to think about our race car and how we want to play the race out and how we want to run practice. And we've had the opportunity to really, really dive deep into Phoenix. And so we'll take that to our advantage and move on.
All right, we're going to come back downstairs. We're going to go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Joey, in terms of the last move there, I guess does it Does it make the sport look unprofessional? Is it such a wow thing that it's the buzzworthiness is good, or somebody used the word circus to describe it and kind of raise questions about, does this make it look professional from that point? How do you view it?
Like I said, it doesn't have to happen every week. We can't make it a thing. But I mean, hey, the first time it happens, it's pretty awesome. And I mean, if that don't make SportsCenter top 10 plays, I don't know what does. I mean, that's to get into Race for a Championship and doing that. I mean, that's crazy. I haven't really talked to Ross. I don't know how he feels about it, right? I mean, like, you think about getting bounced off the wall like that, your head's bouncing around like crazy. You touch the fence, there's no suspension between the car and the fence. You know what I mean? Like, it's really rough, if you start riding a wall like that. So, like I said, we need to do something about it. It was awesome. If we did it every week, it wouldn't be very professional at all. But since it's the first time, hey, more power to him.
What questions would you have for Ross when you get the opportunity, or if you get the opportunity to talk to him and ask him about that? I'm sure, if not tonight, maybe sometime next week in Phoenix, you'll probably get some time together.
Right. What
would you ask him or be curious from driver to driver about that move?
How's your head? The first thing I'd ask. How'd that feel? Because, I mean, it's just, like I said, that's a rough ride doing that. So, yeah. Could have looked like that modified right there. That's what it could have looked like if things went a little wrong. So, yep.
All right. Jeff, Jordan, did one of you have a question? You guys are good? Okay. Additional questions for Joey? All right, we'll go to Deb, and then in the back. Go ahead, Deb.
Deb Williams, RacingToday.com. Joy, in regarding to the fire that you had in the car, I know they had made some changes to the car after Darlington. What exactly happened today, and did that change, the changes they made, did they fail?
I can't honestly answer that question yet. I don't know the details. I know it was a ball of rubber that got up in the rocker and caught on fire. I don't believe the rest of the car caught on fire. We caught it pretty early. Like, it wasn't like it was starting to smoke under caution, and kind of see that. And I was trying to shake the car enough to put it out or get the rubber out of there or whatever. And it catches fire. And I mean, golly, I mean, it happens in all race cars. When you have a tire like we had today that rubber's in the racetrack, which is a good thing, and it marbles up, and there's chunks of rubber, right, and it gets caught up in the car, you get a piece up on the header or something like that, it catches on fire. When they're in the rocker and stuff like that, it's a little different. I don't know enough details to comment on it, honestly, yet. I know that there's a piece of rubber on fire, they got it out, and I kept going. What would have happened if I ran 50 laps like that? Is the whole car going to catch on fire? I don't know. I can't answer that yet.
All right. I believe we had one in the back. Yes. Right there, Kendall. Thank you.
Trey Lyle, CBS Sports Radio, Lynchburg, Virginia Talk Radio Network. Joey, do you think that move by Ross could only really happen at a short track like Martinsville? And do you think the composite body kind of led to the move being more successful than past attempts?
Nope. It can happen anywhere. We've seen it happen at Darlington. It has nothing to do with the composite body. Although the body actually looks pretty good on the thing after doing that. The car doesn't look that bad. But, you never needed to run another lap once you commit to do that. So you can do that with the steel body, too, because you're never going to do it again. The body had nothing to do with it.
All right. We're going to come up front to Jeff, and then we have a question right behind Jeff, so we'll take both of those. Go ahead.
So, I mean, you're not the only driver, obviously, saying that this needs to be, regulated or looked at. And I assume that you guys need some sort of clarification, before Phoenix as to whether this will be legal or not, right? Because, I mean, this is a pretty pressing issue now.
I mean, I think that it's pretty easy. You can't hit the wall and gain a position. I think that's a pretty simple way of looking at it. It's kind of a dumbed-down version, right? If you hit the wall and you gain a spot, that's going to be illegal, and you should be tail end of the field. Yeah. I guess something like that. I mean, it'd be pretty easy to. It's easy to see. You know what I mean? If someone puts it up against the fence and gains a spot, well, you can't do that, right? Like that should be the rule, in my opinion. I don't run everything, so just my opinion.
All right, go ahead.
Charles tracks everywhere. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Everywhere. Yeah. I mean, it's one thing brushing a wall; it's another thing laying against it. I don't know if that's right.
All right, go ahead.
Charles Rourke, Star News. The fact that you already punched in, were you a little reserved today?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what you're thinking
like I
about?
said, I mean, our missions were to make sure that we keep our team together, don't make any enemies, and keep momentum. And we did all that. So missions accomplished on what we were trying to do. Hey, if we could win the race, that would have been great. But we kind of we found ourselves in the position where we were the spot for Denny. If he got in, if he passed me, he's getting in. If he doesn't, and it's like the last place you want to be in one of these things is be the guy that needs to get knocked out of the way for him to make it. It's like, oh, here I go. So just a unique spot, but interesting way to race here for sure.
All right. Any final questions for Joey? All right, Joey, congrats on advancing next week. We look forward to seeing you on Thursday.
All right, great. See you guys. Thanks.
Now been joined by Ross Chastain, who drives the #1 Chevrolet for Trackhouse Racing. We're going to let him take a drink of water. We'll get started here. First off, Ross, congratulations on advancing to the Final Four. If you don't mind, tell us a little bit about the race from your seat in the race car, but then also take us through those final laps as you advance there at the very end to make the race next week in Phoenix.
Yeah, our race car was better starting the weekend than we were in the spring. We qualified 27th in the spring, and we qualified 9th here and felt like we made a solid improvement. And if we could keep the rear tires on the car, we would have a shot. And we were just way too loose most of the beginning of the race, just especially corner entry and exit, and even the center, the first stage, and then tightened it up. And we're still really loose corner entry and exit. And I thought we got our balance pretty close early in stage 3, somewhere in there, or maybe it was stage 2. But I really didn't have a lot more to ask for from Phil. For balance, but ultimately got into the 6. I just drove in too deep to 3. When they checked up, I couldn't turn, and I got into him. So I'm sorry and tried to pay it back to Brad to let him go, and I thought I'd just follow him back up through there to get to 7th, 8th, 9th place, and I was just stuck in 12th, 13th, somewhere in there, and I couldn't pass. So even when we had it tight enough late in the race, I still was too loose on entry and exit to either get position on exit to pull out of line or gain ground on entry. I was just really loose and locking the left front. So we didn't have the pace that we needed to do. I mean, we were in 9th in both stages, and we're going to run around 10th or 12th there at the end, and that just wasn't enough. That's not what you need to do here in the Cup Series in the second to last race to transfer. And double checked off turn 2 on the final lap. Brandon and Phil both talked on each other, but I heard 2 spots garbled up, but I knew that must be what they meant, and was fully committed down the back, grabbed 5th gear, and took my hands off the wheel once I first hit the wall.
All right, we're going to go to questions for Ross.
You think they have questions?
I think they do. They've been waiting.
I have questions.
They've been waiting for you.
Why does that work?
And I hope you get used to answering a lot of questions. You're going to be doing that often this week, so we're going to warm up your voice here. We are going to start with Kelly.
Kelly, CrandallRacer.com. Ross, you said on the last lap you knew you needed the positions and you were committed down the backstretch, but when did that move first come into your mind? Was it today? Was it this week? Was it long ago? Like, when did you think, okay, this is in my playbook?
I think the first time I ever saw a race car do that was on a video game, the GameCube 2005, the GameCube console. I don't know if anybody else in the world had those, but we did, and my brother Chad beat me doing it at the fictitious, I think it was Dodge Raceway in somewhere in a fake city or somewhere in Florida, and we would always race there. And I never thought about it. Like, our prep this week, it never crosses my mind. I've done a lot of sim work this week, a lot of iRacing. A lot of stuff and a lot of laps here virtually, and never once did it ever cross my mind or did I try it. So I want to make that clear. The last time would have been a long time ago, before I was ever even thinking about being a NASCAR driver, and it flashed back in my head on the white flag, and I double checked off of 2, and I just down through 1 and 2. I think we need 2 spots, and they said yes, and I was like, what if it wrecks? Okay, we don't make it, but it might work, so I'll try it.
Justin Mark said it's a testament to your commitment and your competitive mindset, and that there's no rules in your world. So, I guess is that accurate? That, as you said, why not try it? And if it works, it works. If not, then you crash, but you tried.
Well, I thought why not, and that's a motto that some buddies and I have back home. We live by why not, and to apply that to the Cup Series, in this scenario, there are rules. There are a lot of rules out here, and I didn't know how it would all work out. I didn't know if the physics would work to make it around the corner, but it did, and I'm sure glad it did.
All right, we're going to continue with questions. We'll go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. A few things. Ross, can you just take me through what it felt like, and what questions? You said you have questions. What questions do you have after making this move, and just what it felt like that last part to do that?
Yeah, so when I came off turn 4, I saw the 11, and I ran in the back of the 6 again. So I knew that it should work, but my brain could not comprehend. My bandwidth was shot when I entered turn 3, and I grabbed 5th gear, and everything went blurry. I couldn't comprehend it, so I had to ask, and I saw Justin and Brooke, our gas man, grabbing each other and celebrating on the big screen in the infield, and I thought that must be a good sign. But yeah, I questioned it, when I grabbed 5th, and I was like, well, it's going now. Like, my foot stayed down. I committed to the wall early, and it didn't slow down, so it worked.
I guess, what's the wiring of somebody's mind to point a car into the wall and floor it, grab 5th gear, and do it? I mean, that just seems to go against every basic survival instinct. So how do you do that?
It was fight or flight, because we were out, and we had already fought trying to stay in, trying all year, right? Everything we've done, the points we've accumulated, and we fought for it, right? The last pit stop was incredible, but the wiring in my head, I'm an organ donor, so maybe they'll study it one day.
What does it mean to?
I mean, I really am an organ donor, so I think everybody should be.
What does it mean to get in with this path that you've taken? And it's unlike a lot of others that have reached this level, but there are certainly a number of drivers that have been at your level that had those dreams of being in this position, and now you've reached it after being probably about as low as you can be in this sport and still being in it.
What's wild, man, is, might call it low, but we were building this thing, and I needed time to learn this. If I would have showed up, I did show up in race winning equipment in 2013, and Eric Jones beat me at Phoenix. Like, we had the truck that could have won if I would have asked for some different adjustments and known what to ask for the end of the race. I needed time, and those team owners through Trucks, Xfinity, and Cup that gave me the time, I owe so much to. That's through the middle part of what I guess call my career here in NASCAR. And if you just go back 2 years, the fall Southern 500 at Darlington, went there with Spire Motorsports, and our goal was to finish like single-digit number of laps down. They bought sticker tires for the whole weekend. We had a podcast sponsoring us through T-shirts that we sold that didn't even have my name on it. But I got to go race the fall Darlington race in a Cup car to keep building my notebook, and we won our race. We beat the car we wanted to beat that day. That was 2 years ago. Like, we came back this year, and we had chances to win both Darlington races. Last fall in the 42, we had chances to win the Southern 500. So if you just go back 2 calendar years, I was the guy 5 laps down, 7 laps down, something like that. And those were good nights. Those were wins in our book. And those moments and those nights and those races and those laps are a big reason why I feel like I'm able to do what I can do now.
All right, we're going to go to Jeff.
First of all, I'm having a hard time keeping a straight face here. But the other drivers, they thought your move was cool, but now some of them are saying, we need to actually get a policy against this ASAP kind of thing, because this could be possible at Phoenix, this could be possible elsewhere. What are your thoughts on a Chastain rule? Like, do you want the door to be closed behind you after this move, or do you want it to stay open in NASCAR's eyes?
That's for our people that we have appointed that the sport has put in those positions to make those decisions. Jeff, I'm just not been around long enough to even have an opinion on it. Yeah, look, do I want us all coming to the ends of these races and just flooring it? Like, no, it doesn't. No, that's not what we want. But this is a race and this is a competition, and whether you pass them on the inside or the outside, you pass them on pit road or you pass them against the wall. Like, I don't. Yeah, it's unorthodox, and it wouldn't work almost every other time. And the scenario for it to be worth it to work, like, that car's destroyed. The upper control arm, I think, is broke on the right front. I had no brakes coming across the finish line. Like, that's not something that everybody's gonna go do now. But I don't know. I don't know what they should do. I'm sure that I will talk to them this week. I'm sure that we will have lots of conversations about it, and I will give my point of view and my opinion. But I'll let them decide. Right? They know me well, and they know these scenarios well enough now that we've got a good working relationship with the race control and everybody at NASCAR. So I'm ready to talk and ready to help push it forward if we need to.
All right, Jordan, go ahead.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. One of the things the drivers had mentioned was the safety crossover gate in turn 4 there. Briscoe said that he thought you were going to end up in his lap. Did you see the gate? Did you think you were going to hit the gate and that you were going to clip it or anything? Like, he just thought you were going to be destroyed.
Yeah, I did. Halfway through the corner, I saw it, and I had not thought about that. But look, when I started, just a quick story, when I started racing back home in 2005-06, the front stretch at our 417 Speedway had a 3 steps you could walk from the grandstands and underneath the flag stand to go out on the track. And my dad had raced there 10 years before, and he saw race trucks get wrecked there and rip the suspension off in that hole. It's about 2 or 3 feet wide. And then we were there one night, and we saw a race truck get destroyed and rip the right front suspension off, getting pinched into that hole. So we went up there during the week and welded a gate, and I was there, and we drilled we bolted this piece on, and then we welded a gate, big heavy-duty steel gate that went with the flow of the race traffic, right, the race cars. And I knew that. It did not go through my mind as I'm bouncing off the wall, though. I did see it when I was in the middle of the corner, but it was too late, and testament to the wall.
Whether they change the rule or not, the reality is that you just pulled off one of the moves that's going to probably live on for a long time. Passing the grass, all these different things, right? Have you thought about that at all? Like,
Sinking in. Did we get the track record? Only in qualifying? Yeah. Well, yeah. It's sinking in, and look, it's sinking in that we did something that no one else has ever done. That's hard to do in just the world that we live in 2022, but definitely our sport. You just look around these pictures on these walls and look at all the drivers that have been here, and it definitely would not work in a modified, but it worked in a next gen car.
So what should the move be called? Passing the grass? This is your move. So what's it
I got no idea or opinion. I'll let y'all tell me. I'll check the internet tomorrow.
All right. Okay, we're going to take a few up front, and then I'm going to go to the back just to help with microphones. Okay, go ahead.
Ross, Anthony Romano, WDBJ in Roanoke. When you consider the way that the last 2 races here finished, and even in recent years, what makes Martinsville so susceptible to these exciting, great finishes in these cutoff races?
Yeah, look, our leadership at NASCAR and our partners with our TV broadcast groups, they know what they're doing when they build these schedules. And when they pick these dates and these cutoff races and the different rounds, it's on purpose. And it lives up to the hype every time. And you look at the spring race, single file, couldn't pass, combination of the car being new, the tire, the weather. This tire Goodyear brought moved around a lot, fell off a lot more from my car. I did not have the grip, and I was hanging on for 500 laps today. But you combine that with the track and what we're up against to make it to the championship and just have a chance. This track's on the schedule here for a reason, and it lived up again.
All right, go ahead. I want up here. If you guys can help me by keeping your questions to one question, I'm going to try to get more people, but we also have a race winner we're trying to get in here too who's currently waiting. So go ahead. Go.
Charles Workstar News. One thing I've heard today is the word circus. That this brings a circus kind of atmosphere to racing. What do you think about that?
I think we've been crashing race cars here for I don't know how long this place has been open. Is it 75 years? Or is it, 75 years we've been crashing cars, and I just crashed another car. So that's how I look at it.
All right, we're going to go upstairs to the press box, then back downstairs. Go ahead, press box.
Bruce Meyer with Speed Sports. If you look at the finish, at least from this viewpoint, it almost looked like a cross between Herbie the Love Bug and Plummer. From your viewpoint, the in-car camera looks pretty spectacular. But you had a really good chance to see the video from up top. Of just yes, and yes, you did set the track record according to what we figured out.
I have seen a clip on a cell phone of the front-facing streaming camera, and then I saw walking in the media center here on someone's laptop the shot from like above the grandstands where the spotters. It looks like probably where my Brandon McReynolds was standing up there with his jaw wide open. He didn't know what to say, and nobody did. Yeah, I've seen just a quick clip, and I can't believe that I'm the guy driving that Moose car. To be honest, I mean honestly, I can't believe it's me in there.
All right, we're going to come back downstairs. We'll go to Seth.
Seth Eggert, kickingtires.net. Ross, is this something that would have been possible in the Gen 6 car versus the next gen car?
I have no idea. I don't know. I really don't. I don't have a clue.
Okay, we're going to go to Michael in the back.
Michael Massey, front stretch. Ross, all season, many drivers have said, and many analysts and whatnot have said that you won't make it out the playoffs because you made people mad and all that. But here you are. You made it. Nobody really paid you back or anything. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I will tell on myself a bit. That last pit stop, we beat the 11 off pit road, and I messed up into 3, a lap or 2 into the restart, and locked the left front. I was having issues with that, and locked my rears and locked the left front, and I was in a bad spot. And he moved me out of the way entry of turn 3, so I returned the favor into 1. He returned the favor. I returned the favor. We body slammed off of 4, and Phil Surgeon keyed up and said to think neutral, and I just couldn't see how me being in front of him that I would finish the race and have even a chance to transfer. So he got back position on me, and I got in line behind him, and I thought we are perfectly capable of running with him, and we only have to be within 3 spots, they were telling me. To be 2 to be safe. And he just started passing cars, and he passed one after the other to the other. It was, he took me to school, and it's something that I'll never forget, that in that moment I had full confidence that I could match him. I needed, 15, 20 laps of that or less, and he passed 5 cars, and I passed 0. I passed 1 later, 2 later, but I was still too many out, And so that's something that I will never forget. The fact that I had full confidence, and he put on a clinic of passing here, getting everything out of his car. His car was not driving great, but he was able to carry it in that moment, and I couldn't do it. So that is something I will work to be better at. I will strive to be a better race car driver in those moments. I could not put my car in position how it needed to make lap time and to pass people, especially. I could kind of make lap time, but I could not pass, and he could. So watching that was painful. And we had just traded blows, back and forth, a couple times, and it was scary. So everything that I've learned though this year in my career all went into getting us here throughout this entire season, throughout all these playoffs. Like, we are no fluke. This is our arrival, and we have everything we need to compete at this level.
Okay, we're going to go to Steven in the back and then up front to Mark. Go ahead, Steven.
Steven Toronto, CBS Sports. Ross, I took a look at your car on pit road after the race. The entire right side's all used up. There's chunks of the outside wall and the wheel wells. Is there any future for that car outside of being a museum piece, or is that just going to have to be preserved?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's up for Justin and Ty and Tony Lunders and Darian Grubb to decide. It was some hard hits. It didn't feel great. So the upper control arms or the control arms might both be broken on the right front. They'll have to take it all apart and measure everything as far as the chassis goes. And we've got a great group with GM and Chevrolet to do that. So the great thing about these cars is that if it's not bent, we can race it next year. It wasn't going to Phoenix either way, so I knew that. But yeah, I'm not sure. Obviously everything that's got a scratch on it is coming off and will never be raced again, and will be spread out to remember this moment, right? The last lap, the last corner. I know that'll be the focus, and I hope that this takes NASCAR to the number one moment on SportsCenter, right? Like, look, if we're gonna do it, let's go all the way, but let's not forget about the path of Trackhouse to get here and how unorthodox we are. How we took a building in a team, and then we brought in another team to build this team as a family. And we've got more buy-in on the shop floor than I've ever witnessed in a race team. And I'm so proud to get to do it with this group. That we'll spread the bits and pieces left from this car out and try to give everybody a little token to remember this night. Bigger than the last lap, just remember the fact that we are putting ourselves in position to just have a shot at a championship, and that's all we ask for.
Thanks, Ross.
Yep.
All right, we're going to come up front to Mark and take our final question.
Mark Garrow, PRN, congratulations, making the Final Four. Your reaction when you talked about a moment ago about looking at the big screen, saw Justin going crazy, but so you do this thing, you bang against the wall, you come flying through there like Superman. When you finally realized, like, it actually worked, right? So you committed to it, you don't know if it's going to work, but when you finally realized it worked, what was your first gut emotional reaction?
Complete mayhem in the car. Phil Surgeon keyed up and said, "You did it. We did it. We're in." And it's wild that my brain, thinking back through those moments of what all happened, and I saw the 11 out my window net across the line. I was looking at him, and then I felt me hitting something, and I hit the 6. So I knew it, but it did not comprehend. And then I realized, all right, I need to stay up against the wall in turn 1. So all that time, my radio's silent as far as I remember. And I looked up, dropped the net, and I saw him, but I was like, "Tell me, boys." And Phil Surgeon keyed up, and I just lost my mind. I was screaming and fist pumping, and I've learned my lesson. I don't punch the dash anymore. That hurts. Carbon fiber, all those gauges, they hurt. But the bars, and I just lost my mind all the way around pit road. And look, I've made a lot of mistakes in this sport, and I've had some congratulations at times when we win and stuff. Definitely my first truck win, my first Xfinity win. I'm going to say I got more congratulations claps from industry crew and people and mechanics coming down pit road. It was unreal. And so that, whether they were congratulating me for the wildness of it or that they were genuinely happy, I'm not sure, but I'm going to take it that I had more people make it a point to walk out of their pit boxes to physically acknowledge me. That means as much to me as anything. This garage, the word was used earlier, circus. I use the word circus. We are a traveling circus, and I'm proud of it. And I'm proud to be in this circus. And I'm proud of my brothers and sisters that I go to battle with, and they might get mad at me. And that's some of the stuff I've talked about earlier in the years. It's been wild to race against my heroes. All right, they're left, they're right, they're forward, they're back. It's the craziest thing has been when they've been mad at me. So I've had crew members be mad at me this year, and that's the most humbling experience that I've ever experienced. So having more acknowledgement or more smiles my way, and whether it was because it was crazy or not, I don't really care. I'm going to take it. I don't get many from the garage, and just them acknowledging that, and whether it was good or bad on their end, they acknowledged it, that they smiled and gave me a thumbs up, and I'll take it.
All right, Ross, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you the best of luck next weekend in Phoenix.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Hello. We're going to now roll into our post-race press conference here for our race winner. Christopher Bell will join us here in just a few minutes. So we're going to go ahead and get started with race-winning crew chief Adam Stevens and team representative Coy Gibbs. Coy, thanks for joining us as well. Adam, I'll start with you. If you don't mind to take us through that race, those final kind of laps there. We had Christopher on a Zoom earlier this week, and he was very focused and very confident that his team could pull this off. Mm-hmm. So tell us a little bit about this week and how you guys executed today.
Yeah, it was just a great weekend, honestly. We didn't have the best race here in the spring, but we learned a lot, and since then our program's made a lot of progress. And didn't have the best test here in August, but we learned quite a few things not to do, and the 11 learned a few things that were working for them, and we kind of took that and made it our own coming into this weekend, and had a decent practice. Bell had some good feedback. The balance wasn't where we wanted it, but we had decent lap time in it, especially with laps on tires. So we really felt like if we could get the balance to hang on, that we'd have some speed, and didn't qualify well, but we knew we had a good race car. And that first run there, driving from 20th up to, I think, 7th, I knew that we really had something that could contend for the win. So it was just a matter of keeping the balance where he wanted it and adjusting to the racetrack and putting him in a position that he could do his job. And he just did such a good job being aggressive when he needed to be and taking care of the tires when he needed to and had the opportunity to. And just maximize the whole day. And the pit crew had an outstanding day and stepped up to the plate. And nights like this, days like this, are what this 20 team is capable of. So it's just a matter of everybody performing at their highest level, and this is the result.
All right. We've now been joined by our race winner, Christopher Bell. Congratulations, Christopher, on that win. In the interest of time, we are going to go ahead and roll straight into questions. We're going to do our best to get to as many as we can. And to kick us off, I'm going to start with Dustin Long and then Jordan. Go ahead, Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Christopher, second round in a row where it's a must-win situation. What have these playoffs been like? Is this what you expect out of yourself? Have you learned anything about yourself the last few weeks? What's the last month been like with what you've had to face and the ups and downs?
Yeah, it's just been a roller coaster of emotions for sure. I think I've been praying for off season for 2 out of the last 4 weeks, and now I'm ready to race again. So, the round of 12 was extremely disheartening because I felt like the round of 8 was going to be really good for us, and that would have led to a possible championship run. But then whenever we got out of Texas with DNF and Talladega sucked, and just being so down. But the team behind me, everyone at Joe Gibbs Racing, they still perform to their highest level. And I feel like whenever I get in the car and I put my helmet on, I try and do as good of a job as I can of not letting anything bother me. And they I don't know, like no matter what's going on behind the scenes, whenever you get in the car, you can't let that bother you. And they gave me a great race car today, the fastest car today, and then at the Charlotte Road Course when we needed to win, it worked out for us.
Also, Coy, obviously it's sweeping the weekend, but with yesterday's win, there's certainly some controversy with how Ty won. How do you address that moving forward, and what kind of an impact does that have on an organization with only having one car in the championship, where potentially could have had two in the championship?
Yeah, no, I'll answer that. First, though, 200th win, 31st year we've been in business, so that's huge. That's exciting for it. We actually still have our first employee, Jimmy Makar. He's getting ready to kind of shift into a different role. Yeah, yesterday is disappointing. That's not what we wanted for our race team. So, we haven't met as a group yet because we've been at the racetrack and all over the place. But we'll meet, and we're going to deal with that internally and handle that. I agree with you. It would be awesome to have two cars. It would have been awesome to have. I thought we had two cars in the chase today until a white missile went by at the last second. So, but no, just excited for Christopher and fun. Like a lot of times you don't get to see them grow. You got an older guy that's coming in and already established. So that's what's exciting for me. And Adam and all the guys did a great job. Pit crew killed it today. So that's why we race right there.
Is that just the main message to Ty? Is just the big picture? Obviously, he's been very focused on winning, and look, it's gotten him to this level, and it's worked very well. But how do you?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you're young, you make mistakes, and hopefully you learn from them. I think that's the message that we'll deliver to them. And obviously, with teammates, that's a whole different ball game. So there's a couple things we need to go over. But like I said, we haven't met as a group yet. We'll meet. Our leadership group will meet, and we'll deal with the situation.
All right, Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. This question's for Adam. Adam, you're the only two-time active crew chief, championship-winning crew chief in the garage. Does that give you any kind of leg up on anybody going into the finale?
Maybe. I mean, I know what to expect out of these weekends. We had a streak there where we went to quite a few of them in a row, and we finished in every possible spot you can finish in a four-car battle. So it happened to be first a couple times. So other than that, probably not. It's going to be who can bring the best car and do the best job. But I think we showed what this team's capable of tonight. So I feel really good about the spot we're in. I feel really good about the progress we've made this year as a team and with our setups and our package and what we're trying to accomplish. I know what the weekend's all about and the week leading up to it's all about. And we're going to go there and see what we can do.
And the second question is for Coy. Coy, when you see these moments that Ty has been in this year at different times, is there any question about whether he's fully prepared, whether he has the maturity to handle a cup on a full-time basis next year?
Well, I think that's part of the process, and that's why you work your way up, so you can make those mistakes, typically at a lower level. There's look, he's my kid. I appreciate his aggression, but sometimes you got to pull back a little bit, and this is a place where we need to pull back some and just talk to him and explain to him that doing that affects not just him, it affects our whole company. All our sponsors, all the people we deal with, affects Toyota, obviously affected Brandon. Those are the things that maybe you're not thinking of in that split second, but hopefully we can get with him and and educate them on those things.
All right, Cluck, go ahead.
I feel like, Christopher, I've asked you this different roller coaster up or down every week in this playoffs or something, but now you're back up on top. How do you, your mindset has been so all over the place, and it's been hard to, stay even keel. So how do you stay even keel going into this championship race next week with everything that's on the line?
Yeah, I mean, this next week is easy. We don't have to focus on stage points or where we're at compared to everyone else. It's just one race, and like Adam said, whoever brings the best car and executes the best is going to win the race and the championship. So, I think whatever happens, and I'm very proud to be in this position. It's all about the sport's all about people, and fortunately for me, I ended up with the best people around me.
All right, we're going to go to Mark and then Lee.
Mark Garrow, PRN. Christopher, as I look at this, a lot of us have looked at what you did at the Roval here is like walk-off home runs. What does it feel to hit not one, but two walk-off home runs?
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't think it's sank in yet. And one thing that is very unique about the playoff system and the wins that we have had, they don't feel like at least for me, I don't feel like I've won a cup race yet. I feel like I, transferred in the playoffs and I get to go race for a championship. And in a way, the playoffs overshadow the race wins. So whenever you have a race win in the regular season, it's cherished and you feel like it's a big deal where, you're winning a race in the playoffs, especially the way that we did. Like, it's like, wow, we've won 3 races this year, but it just feels like we're focused on the playoffs and we're on to the next round. And that's what that's what the shining star is, not the race wins right now. So, maybe a couple weeks down the road, couple days down the road, we'll look back at it and say, wow, I won another race, which was really cool at one of my worst racetracks statistically. So, definitely, short term, it's not a race win. It's an advance in the playoffs, and we're get a chance to race for a championship. But long term, it is a race win.
All right, we'll come up front to Lee.
Adam, I'm just curious, how have you seen him mature over the last 2 years? Because, granted, he didn't start out in the best equipment in the 95, but it's like since the two of you have gotten together and built something, it just really seems special. And I know his immense talent, but, where do you see this going?
Yeah, so hang on. Before Adam answers that, so, the 95, and I, after living the success that I've had specifically this year in 2021, looking back at 2020, I feel like that entire group just didn't get a fair shake at it. Jason Ratcliffe, I feel terrible for him. Everyone at LFR, just the hand that we were dealt with COVID and getting practice and qualifying taken away from us. Our equipment was good. Like it was not a question of equipment. It was a matter of not being able to showcase what we were capable of doing. And by not having practice, not having qualifying, we weren't able to get in a groove. And I think a little bit of that happened to us last year. Like, we weren't able to dial in what I need in a race car, and I'm not able to tell him what I need in a race car until you get more reps at it and more practice sessions. And so that whole 95 group, it wasn't an equipment problem, it wasn't a personnel problem, it was a circumstances that caused us from performing what we were capable of. Yeah, I mean, we had a technical alliance that I feel like was capable of bridging that gap, but I'll let Adam answer and speak to the rest of it.
Yeah, I'll go back to your original question. You asked about maturity and improvement. I would say maturity, that hasn't changed. There's no question that wasn't our issue last year. It goes back to the reps and communication and us as a team understanding what he needs in his race cars. And, even now that we're developing that understanding, when we unload, despite our best efforts, a lot of times we don't have it right. So that 20 minutes of practice makes a huge difference. It makes the difference from missing the balance on occasion to being able to right the ship and those overnight adjustments, just like this weekend. You know, if we had to race how we unloaded, we weren't going to win. But we were able to make some changes and help the car do what he needs to do. And after a number of races and a number of practice sessions and last year and majority of this year, we understand what he's looking for. So if we can give it to him, he'll run up front. If it's Martinsville, if it's, Loudon, if it's Kansas, Vegas, Texas, it doesn't matter. If we can give him what he's looking for in his car, then we'll run up front. So it's just a matter of that fundamental understanding and then communicating, him and I and our engineers, to constantly chase that balance and that feel that makes him his best.
All right. Any questions in the press box?
Jim Mutter, motorsport.com for Adam. There could be, I would say, a very strong argument to be made that you guys have been one of or the top performing team since the playoffs started, if you consider incidents that weren't really in your control. And I just wondered if you compare that to how the season started, what are some of the things that you think you guys have really improved upon as the end of the year is drawing near?
I agree with your assessment. I appreciate that. I think compared to the beginning of the season, we weren't that far off. We suffered for finishing. We didn't suffer for performance. I think we fell all the way back to 32nd in the points, and we were certainly not a 32nd place team. Our setups weren't where they needed to be to start with this new car, but we were learning, and we were capable of running up front. We crossed the finish line at Atlanta 1, P2, and got bumped at the back for going under the yellow line, and we were up front, Vegas 1, and got loose over the bumps and spun out, racing for the lead. That was potential performance, and 2 top 5s gone that were well within our grasp. And then we had 3 or 4 events where we didn't give him much to work with. In Martinsville 1 and Phoenix 1 were 2 of those races. And then we had a stretch of some good finishes and good runs. And we've been competitive, and we've had some pit stops get away from us. We've had some strategy calls get away from us. And as a team, though, we knew that we had what we needed. And I remember telling Bell when we were 32nd in points, he was distraught and concerned, and I'm like, dude, I do not know what you're worried about. We have the performance, and the capability is right there. You're just having trouble seeing it. You remember that conversation?
Yeah, you were definitely a lot more positive than I was in that moment.
Yeah, so it's been there. It's been there the whole time. We just haven't had as many opportunities to show it as maybe we felt like we deserved or had coming to us, and hopefully we got one more in us.
All right. Adam, Christopher, Coy, congratulations again on the win. We wish you guys the best luck next weekend in Phoenix.
Thank you.